Welcome everybody. We're doing video 7 here. And right now in back of me, I'm in the Silver Springs Lodge up in Idlewild, California. If you ever get the chance, come check it out. It's really a neat lodge. And they've got hotel rooms here. It's really good and it's economical as well. It's got this beautiful antique pianos in the background and a fireplace and everything. Let's check it out. But the point of this video is why you don't need to quit your job to start. Because we're talking about building your economic power. All right. So economic activation should be controlled, not reckless. All right. In our previous video, we talked about 10 ideas on how to make optional income. So you don't want to just quit your job. You have this great idea. Because if you quit your job when you have a great idea, an idea is only an idea. It doesn't pay the bills. You want to start building your skills to pay your bills. So here, the optional income reduces dependency, and dependency reduction increases confidence. So once you start making some income from your ideas that you start building your business around, you're going to start increasing your income. And one of the biggest reasons people never start building additional income is because they think starting requires dramatic decision. They think starting means quitting their job. It does not. They think it means risking everything. It does not. Leaving stability, jumping into uncertainty. And when people imagine that level of risk, they freeze. They don't know what to do. And you know what? They don't start. But here's something important to understand. You don't need to quit your job to start building income. In fact, quitting your job too early is often the worst strategy. The smartest builders replace stability immediately. They build around it. Okay, the myth of the leap is a popular narrative about entrepreneurship. The story usually goes like this: someone quits their job, they take a huge risk, there's lots of struggles, then suddenly succeeds. It's dramatic, it's exciting, and it makes for a good story. But it's not how most successful people actually build economic power. Most builders start much quieter. They start small. They experiment. They test their ideas while maintaining the stability that they have, their income. Because stability gives you something valuable. It gives you time to learn, time to experiment, time to improve. When your survival depends on immediate success, pressure really does increase. And pressure often leads to bad decisions. But when you have stability, you think clearly. You can test ideas without desperation. So here's an example of controlled activation. Instead of thinking about quitting your job, think about controlled activation. What do I mean by that? You begin building something small while maintaining your primary income. This reduces your risk dramatically. You're not gambling your financial security away. You're creating additional opportunities. And that shift is very important because building income does not require a massive time commitment at the beginning. It requires focused time. Even 5 to 7 hours per week can begin and is enough to begin. That might sound small, but small, consistent effort compounds over time. Remember, we're talking about momentum in some videos, habits, momentum. Everything starts to compound over time. So, where these hours come from, let's talk about something practical here. Most adults believe they don't have time. All of us have 24 hours in a day, all across the world. But a lot of people, I don't have the time for this, I don't have the time for that. Nonsense. When you look closely at the average week, time does exist. Evenings, weekends, small pockets of focused time. 5 to 7 hours per week is manageable. For example, 2 evenings during the week and one focused block on a weekend. That's enough time to research, to experiment, help someone solve a problem, offer a service, test an idea. You're not trying to build an empire in a week. That would be insanity. Nobody can really do that. Even the wealthy know it takes time. What you're doing is you're activating income. That's completely different objective. Small experiments. Let's talk about that. When people think about starting something, they often think way too big. They imagine launching a company, building a full brand, creating a perfect system. But that kind of thinking creates a lot of pressure. Instead, think in terms of experiments, small experiments. Experiments actually reduce fear because experiments are temporary. They are tests. You try something, you see what happens, you learn, you adjust. If it works, you expand. If it doesn't, you pivot. That's what entrepreneurship is about. You pivoting. That's how most successful builders actually develop ideas. Not through perfect planning, but through experimentation. Elon Musk didn't become the richest man in the world by just quickly overnight with PayPal and SpaceX and Tesla. He came very close to failing. If you look up his story on Tesla, he almost went bankrupt on that. Look it up. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, so let's talk about why this strategy builds confidence with testing and experimenting. There's another benefit to controlled activation. It's called confidence. Right now, many adults depend completely on one income source. It's a lot of risk. That creates a pressure, and pressure changes how people behave. It affects how they speak at work. It affects how they negotiate. It affects how much stress they want to tolerate. And they don't want to tolerate it, honestly, to be honest with you. But when someone begins generating income outside their job, even in small amounts, their psychology changes. This big, beautiful brain that God put inside all of our us humans, it can change because people start to realize something when you start developing income outside your job. Income can come from multiple directions. And once that realization happens, confidence will start to increase. And it does increase. You stop seeing a job as your only option. It becomes one part of your economic structure, not the entire structure. Dependency reduction, that's what we're talking about. We want to talk about that for a second here. So let's talk about something very important, dependency. Dependency happens when your financial survival relies entirely on one system, one employer, one paycheck, one structure. When all income comes from one place, you are fully dependent. But when income begins coming from multiple sources, dependency begins to shrink. You don't eliminate your job, you reduce reliance on it. And that shift changes your economic position. You start building your economic power, what this channel is all about. Because dependency reduction increases flexibility, and flexibility increases confidence. Confidence increases economic power. What it actually starts to look like, all right? Starting doesn't look dramatic, it looks simple. Helping someone solve a problem, offering a skill you already have, as we talked about in the previous video, testing an idea with a few people, learning what works, learning what doesn't, and slowly building something that didn't exist before. That's how activation begins, quietly, gradually, consistently. So we're going to wrap this video up. You don't need to quit your job to start building additional income. You need structure. 5 to 7 hours per week, small experiments, consistent action, because optional income reduces dependency, and dependency reduction increases confidence. In the next video, we're going to talk about something many people don't think about, the hidden cost of being fully dependent on one income source. Because dependency doesn't just affect your finances, it affects how you show up in life. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe, comment, and also ring that notification bell, set that timer on there so when new videos come up, you'll be able to see new ones come up. Thanks again. This is James from Build Your Economic Power. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.